You can spot me in the city building lobby with a sword off shot. He's screaming, drop it, this a robbery.
Alright, what's up my people? This is ShowBizz the Adult. First thing I want to say is I did not make a video on Saturday, the night of the Anthony Joshua Joseph Parker fight, because I went out that night. I went out that night, man. Had a good time. And then the next day was Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday or, I don't know, April Fool's Day or maybe just Sunday, you know, depending on who you are, okay? But for me, it was Easter Sunday. So I decided to rest that day. So I'm giving you the reaction now. So Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker. So that fight to me was a snooze fest, man. First, I made a prediction, and I predicted Anthony Joshua to beat Joseph Parker by knockout. But here's my prediction. On March 31st, Anthony Joshua is going to win by KO. I had no idea, since all of his fights ended in knockouts, even TKO knockout, you know, it was a stoppage, all of his fights. None of them went the distance. I did not expect him to try to beat him with finesse. That he said in a post-fight. I didn't expect that. I figured at some point he was going to let his hands go. So the fight was a snooze fest, and it was no fault of Joseph Parker. The reason why the fight was a snooze fest was because Joseph Parker got Anthony Joshua's respect either at the bell or he had his respect before the fight. And I'm talking about beyond respect. Not just I'm going to respect him as a challenger, but I don't want to get touched by him. That's what it looked like to me. Joseph Parker showed an extreme amount of hand speed, okay? And I think that made Anthony Joshua a little bit leery. So he decided to pop shot him with a few jabs, you know, a jab here, jab there. It was a very slow fight. With him having such the reach and height advantage, Joseph Parker was going to have to work his way to the inside. Now, he did. He got in the inside, but that ref broke it up immediately. That was some of the most bizarre reffing I've seen. Okay, that was ridiculous. All right, so with Anthony Joshua on top of the reffing, that made a very boring fight. And then the judges at the end had it by a large margin, and I thought the fight was actually closer. There's a few little points I didn't like. Anthony Joshua doing the hold the head and try to catch him with an uppercut time and time again. I didn't like that. He rubbed me the wrong way. Joseph Parker kind of trying to bait him in and catch him with a right counter. His fast jabs, but the jabs were to create a counter effect. You know, was to make him throw a punch so he could counter with his fast hands. I thought Joseph Parker was doing an excellent job with that. I really did. But with him being shorter, with shorter arms, he was going to have to make his way in. And the ref made sure that Anthony Joshua, that the fight was at a distance that Anthony Joshua was extremely comfortable. So the fight, really, with a different ref, I'm not sure who wins that fight. Honestly, I don't think, after Saturday, after that fight, I feel that I did not see Joseph Parker versus Anthony Joshua. I didn't see the fight. That ref was so bad. I don't know who would win that fight at this point. I mean, I didn't expect Anthony Joshua to be so hesitant to fight that guy. I mean, while they were fighting, which lead me to believe that Deontay Wilder would knock Anthony Joshua flat out. If he's going to respect Joseph Parker's power and make him punch less, if you want to be like that against Deontay Wilder, expect to get your head knocked off. Really, the best way to beat Deontay Wilder is to be busy, is to make Deontay Wilder go backwards. I've seen fighters be aggressive and give Deontay Wilder a hard time. But if you want to sit there and respect somebody's speed and respect their power the way he respects Joseph Parker and think that's the way to approach somebody with that type of punching power and that type of hand speed, and you're going to against Deontay Wilder with that type of mindset, expect to be humping the canvas. Really. So Anthony Joshua going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure this out. The biggest thing I didn't like about that fight was the post-fight. Okay, was the post-fight interview. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact, because I know Anthony Joshua he opted for Deontay Wilder to not be able to get in the ring after the fight. Right? Remember that? He said, he announced, hey, look, I don't want him to get in the ring with all his hoopla and all his hype because I'm not about the hype. So don't even come over here. Don't even get in the ring. I don't want any of that. The reason why I allowed that for Klitschko was because me and Klitschko, we already had an agreement. Deontay Wilder, if he, call himself getting in the ring, I'm not about that because we don't have an agreement and it'll be all hype. Remember he said that? Fine. So Deontay Wilder didn't show up? Fine. Now, I had a perception of what AJ was all about when he said that. Maybe he's just a real dude. Maybe he just doesn't feel like all the talk. But when Deontay Wilder not being there, not allowed to come into the ring, what did Anthony Joshua do? Start yapping off about Deontay Wilder. That gave me a bad taste. It gave me a bad taste. I can understand if he was just talking like, the fight's not here yet. Like I said, I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about my victory with Joseph Parker. I don't want to be about the hype. That'd be one thing. But that man talking about he's going to knock Deontay Wilder the spark out or however, whatever he said. He was talking about, a right hand takes you around the corner, a jab takes you around the world. He start talking junk. He start hyping up the fight that he didn't want to be all hype. He started doing it. What he really didn't want was confrontation with Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder was getting in the ring, I'm not sure Anthony Joshua would be running his mouth like that. Now I'm questioning a lot about Anthony Joshua at this point. I just didn't see that as a man with integrity. He said he didn't want to be about the hype. So Deontay Wilder wasn't allowed to come in the ring. So Deontay Wilder said, I ain't even going to go over there if I can't hype up the fight. But Anthony Joshua doesn't want a hyped up fight that there's no agreement for, right? But he sat right there and hyped it up by talking junk about Deontay Wilder. The double standard on that, just the personality. I'm not feeling that. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in a fight, and I'm disappointed in a post-fight interview. I'm disappointed in both. All right. So as far as Joseph Parker, I still think Joseph Parker is, he's under those guys. I mean, he couldn't adjust and beat Anthony Joshua. But that's a hard thing to do when the ref is not allowing you to work on the inside. It's hard to beat the fighter and the ref, especially the fighter of AJ's caliber. ShowBizz the adult. I'm out.
In the city, building lobby with a sawed-off shot. He screaming, drop it, this a robbery.